Here is an easy art journaling idea that is cheerful and uplifting. To get started, I took out all of the art supplies I was going to need. A sketchbook, I'm partial to this one by Strathmore, a stencil of squares, a pencil and a roll of painter's tape, and a handful of brush markers, plus 2 black acrylic paint pens. I put links to all the art supplies I used here in the description, so you can find them. Then I found a clean page in my sketchbook and taped off a border with painter's tape that was 1 inch wide. You will see in a moment that tape is not necessary, but at this point I was still deciding on how to make the design, and I love peeling off tape, so I always err on the side of applying it. Next, I used the pencil to trace overlapping squares with the help of a stencil. While I chose to use 1 square across the page, you could use multiple sizes if you want, or choose a different shape. Generally, I also enjoy working with circles, so that's another good alternative. And of course, you can freehand your shapes or make a stencil by cutting down a piece of cardboard or cardstock. Before I continue, I wanted to mention that if you find value in this video, please like the video and subscribe to this channel, because these are the best ways to see more videos like this one. When I was satisfied with the squares, I used a black acrylic paint pen with a medium bullet tip to trace along the sides of each square. If you don't have acrylic paint pens, you could use a black marker for this instead. What I liked about this part is how relaxing it was for me to trace these lines. I am always surprised by the way that the simplest activities, such as tracing lines, can be so relaxing and enjoyable. Now I was ready to color in the squares, so I took out brush markers in canary, gold, amber, orange red, rose pink, and cerise. All of these markers came out of the sun and tree colors and the flower colors by the brand Caron, and are their Brush Marker Pro pens. One thing I love about these markers is that each one feels like I am using a paintbrush with an endless supply of paint. However, they can be a bit streaky. I chose to use sketch paper here because most of the colors streak less on it, but there was still some streakiness here. But honestly, these markers feel so great to work with that I didn't really mind. I loved moving them back and forth slowly as I colored in each square. I have tried a couple other brands of brush markers, and these are definitely the most flexible. In contrast, the Tombow brush markers have a longer brush tip and are not very flexible. Because of this, the Tombow markers aren't my favorites. Just my opinion, it's okay if you love them. And then I would put the Ohuhu alcohol markers with dual brush and fine tips in the middle in terms of flexibility. The brush tips on those markers aren't quite as flexible as these Brush Marker Pro pens, but they are still very smooth to work with. I have only had the alcohol markers for about a week, so I am still getting to know them. Now, if you don't have brush markers, you could use almost anything to color in the squares. Traditional markers, crayons, gel crayons, or colored pencils would all work. While I was working, I noticed how cheerful and uplifting the colors I chose were. Have you noticed that some colors affect the way you feel? I have definitely experienced it. And I specifically chose to work with yellows, oranges, and pinks here because it's been awfully gloomy where I live lately, despite it being summer. And I was looking for a little pick-me-up. If you are looking for a more calming or relaxing vibe from your art journaling session, I recommend trying shades of blue, green, or both. I have noticed that cool colors tend to be more relaxing for me. And if you could use some inspiration around this, I suggest you check out a page in my art journal where I used acrylic paint pens in all the green shades I had. The video about it is linked here and in the description. Next, I came in with a black Posca marker with an extra fine bullet tip and used it to draw a little accent in each corner of each square that was visible. And if you color in the squares with crayons, gel crayons, or any medium that doesn't dry permanently, I recommend spraying a fixative on the page and letting it fully dry before using an acrylic paint pen on top of the shapes. I have often found that art supplies that have wax in them tend to clog up my Posca markers when I skip this. If you don't have an official fixative on hand, hairspray also works, and it's what I use when I need it. The last thing I needed to do was put a hairdryer on high heat on the page for about a minute to loosen the adhesive on the tape. I will never apologize for how much I love peeling off tape, even when it's not necessary. In the end, I just love how this page turned out, and I'm so glad I took the time to add all those little accents. I feel like they elevated the page. Now, I would love to hear what you think about it in the comments. And while I use some of my favorite art supplies in this video, I have definitely made some mistakes and recently created a video where I shared my top 10 art supplies I regretted buying last year. If you'd like to hear about them and maybe save yourself from a few, that video is linked here and in the description. Thanks for being here, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.